Kakadosh Boker Tov. We're continuing with halachot now of refuah on Shabbat. We already explained to do with refuah that there's three different categories. There's going to be the chole sheyesh bo sakana, chole she'en bo sakana, and miktzat choli, which means a chole sheyesh bo sakana, there's a sakana involved, there's a danger involved. There was a chole she'en bo sakana, which means that there's no danger here involved, right, in this sickness. And then miktzat choli, that a person is a little bit sick. The same halacha would apply to different types of wounds on Shabbat or cuts on Shabbat as well. There's going to be some of them which they have a sakana, for example, a deep cut, or certain types of which could get infections, and therefore on these ones, obviously they're going to be mechalel Shabbat even in Doraita, and the quicker that you're going to be mechalel Shabbat, the better that it is. Some of them are going to be that there's no sakana, but because there's no danger, but because of the pain and the suffering, a person is already nofel mishkav, which means that he could be lying down in bed already because it hurts so much. And these are considered chole she'en bo sakana, which they could do everything through a goy, or you could do through a Jew, only a shvut b'shinui, which means an isur d'rabbanan with a shinui, with a change in the fashion of how you're doing it. And then there's other ones which are very superficial, which you can't permit a Jew to do nothing whatsoever, and even to start applying different types of creams or different types of things will also be prohibited because of the gezerah of shechikat samanim. But we're going to come and explain the different types of cuts and wounds. So it says over here like this. First of all, mayim v'sabon nozli, any type of water or types of soaps is permitted to put on any type of a petza whatsoever, even if it's going to be superficial. You're also allowed to put an antibacterial, whether it's going to be a cream or a liquid, you're allowed to put, because as long as you're trying to stop for infections, that's going to be permitted. You're also allowed to put on the petza or on the cut, you're allowed to put a powder which stops blood, which is called of cut dermatol, which basically you put it on and then it's going to come and it's going to stop the bleeding. Even if there's not going to be a suspicion that the person is going to lose so much blood, but rather because it's not considered refuah of a petza. So therefore you're only coming and you're stopping the blood. To do with putting on bandages and everything, we'll probably speak about within the next few days. Now, what about taking blood out? So we know that to take blood out of a makkah is going to be prohibited because of chovel. And it's an av melacha, so you're not allowed to retrieve, you're not allowed to take out blood from a wound or a makkah. Now a petza, right, we're going to talk about now a petza that has mugla, it's got mucus inside, so there's pus inside of it, and it's got blood. So you're allowed to poke a hole in it in order to take out this liquid. And even if it's going to come blood with this pus, there's no isur, but you should be careful not to come and start pressing on the sides after the mucus has already come out, because if this pus has already come out and now you're coming and you're pressing, now blood could come out, so it's going to be more problematic. The last halakha we'll mention is to do with merichat nishcha, which is basically applying a cream. So he says like this, biptsaim, right, shitchim, when we're talking about very superficial cuts or wounds, you're not allowed to put any type of a medicinal, any type of a cream that has, right, properties, medicinal properties, curing properties. If a person can come and fall to bed because of the pain, so he's allowed to do rifwot, so then we have to be makpi that he's not going to be over on the isur av memareach, which is basically going to be spreading thin a solid. So he says, and therefore you have to do it that when you're actually applying it to the body, it has to be completely absorbed inside the body. Or for example, when you have a child, right, you have a baby or whatever that they have, whether it's going to be a mark or a rash, so they're allowed to put this cream as long as it's going to be completely absorbed in the body. Because tinok, anything to do with a child is considered chole she'en bo sakana. So the concept is going to be either, we mentioned this in the past, either to dab, which is basically that you're not actually spreading it, you're just putting, right, one place here, one place here, one place, but you're not actually spreading, doing mimareach. Or what you're doing is that you're applying it to the body, but since it's going to be absorbed, meaning that you don't see any outer layer, it's not going to come and you're putting a cream that you still see the white cream or whatever color the cream it's going to be on the top. You completely make it be absorbed inside the body, so therefore there's not going to be a problem of memareach. So these are just the start. Bezat Hashem will continue with whether it's going to be putting on bandages or putting them back or so on and so forth. Bezat Hashem in the next coming days.
יכולים מוכנות שבין העולם הבא שאינם יכולים, הייתי הלכות על